Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And today is happy 4th of July for a few people, but all Americans' lives matter. But no government is coming to save you, ladies and gentlemen. You know what that means. You're going to need to do a few things. And thank you for joining me this evening on the SSN Nation Friday night live stream. Stop struggling now, gear. Check. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for being here. Please share the videos because you never know who's out here trying to help people. And you will notice over my shoulder, my brother's book, who passed away earlier this year, Duran Drake, Star Cruiser Falcon 1, 2, and 3 is available at your bookstores, at your Amazon, if you would kindly think about him with your sci-fi in order. All right, that's why they're always up here for the year. So just letting everybody know why the books are always here. All right, now let's get into it because tonight American lives matter. Or do they to a government? Because the big, beautiful bill, as they call it, is not beautiful. It's big, but it's definitely not beautiful. Why is it not beautiful? If you don't know, the reason it's not beautiful is because marginalized Americans, citizens that may need Medicaid health and Medicare health to be covered for their health issues. This is men, this is women, this is children, this is the disabled, this is your elderly grandmama. It's a whole slew of people, Americans. 15 million to 20 million are going to be affected. So some of you might be going, well, woof, that's not me. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's not woof, that's not me. Because when they no longer can get the assistance that they need, that means society has to prop them up or not. More people in the streets, more people in need of help. Your government and your world should evolve around. If there is a weak link, we'll talk about those that need a little bit of help and assistance. That means all of us are going to be in the same boat eventually, because that side of the boat is going to keep getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And it's July 4th, ladies and gentlemen, rockets, red glare, and all of that patriotic stuff. But is it patriotic if you have your fellow American citizen, or for that matter, a fellow human suffering, all because of monetary decisions? It's happening here in America, where people cannot be covered by the government. FDR is rolling in his grave right now. Medicaid, Medicare, just the tip of the iceberg. Because remember that affordable housing that everybody needs right now? Well, they slashed the funding for that as well. So if you're on Section 8, you may be in trouble as well. If you are a landlord that have Section 8 tenants, you might not be getting that paycheck next month. And now that's going to affect people that own properties. So it's not going to be everybody's going to be immune. This is trickle down economics in reverse. And guess who gets to pay for it? Any guesses? Because this is creating a deficit. So that means who has to pay for deficits in America? Taxpayers. Because the taxpayers and the federal government are going to bail out the wealthy to ship money to the top while the rest of us lose wealth. Now, if you're here tonight, I appreciate it. But this is not going to be for the faint at heart, because your fellow American citizens and humans on this planet are suffering by design. This is not where everybody gets a chance. It's not like you can show up and everybody it's equal footing. You have some people trying to make sure other people cannot succeed. And here we are representing Independence Day. Well, being a black guy in America, I have to say, my ancestors was in the cotton fields in 1776 on Independence Day and after. And in 1780, 1790, 1800, by the way. So this freedom that rings for some does not ever ring for all. But is it our duty to try to make sure it rings for everybody as human beings on this planet, sharing the same DNA? So now that we're talking about July 4th, or I'm talking about July 4th, American lives matter. And apparently, you're going to need to make some more money. A lot more money. Because a lot of people do not understand what just happened. Here's what happened today, last night. Rivers have swollen up in Texas. People have died. People are going to need help from their government. FEMA, that has been cut. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. So FEMA is going to show up in probably a Sunday, Monday, and a lot of people are going to act like, FEMA is going to come with checks. Well, the way FEMA, if they do show up, if they do come, they're only allowed to give you $700 for the next few days of subsistence. That's it. There's no rules. They have rules in place. There's no rule that says, oh, yes, they lost their home and all that. Give them 20 grand. That's not how it works. So don't let anybody gaslight you saying, oh, why isn't the government doing this or that? In this case, you need them to show up first. But as we know, in Helene, in Arkansas tornado situation, the government wasn't coming. And when the government did try to come to Helene, you had people gaslighting people saying, see, they're trying to take your house. And armed people were coming up to FEMA individuals, social workers, so to speak, and saying, get out of our neighborhood. We don't want your help. And then people turned it into FEMA didn't show up to help people when their lives were threatened. So again, fellow Americans, American lives matter. But apparently, some people think otherwise. The only barrier between you and a government that doesn't give a damn about its citizens or only cares about a certain demographic of citizens is money. You have no way around it. If you don't have money, you're not going to be able to save yourself. Because if there are safety nets being taken away as we speak, as of last night, that's going to affect 10% of our population. That affects all of us because somebody has to pay for their downfall. Whether it's going to be your property taxes, whether that's going to be your insurance cost on every insurance. That could be medical, that could be auto, that could be property. There's going to be more people that's going to need more help. And it's going to fall upon your neighborhood, your city, state governments. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, you need to rock and roll with thinking about nothing else other than how am I going to make legitimate money over the next 1 year and 5 months? What's my credit score going to be in 1 year, 5 months? Is it going to be 775 like Eric said at SSN Nation? Or are you going to keep doing the 650 and 680s and 500s? Because no business is going to come and save your ass. They're not going to sit there and go, hey, you know what? I understand 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom apartments when you're 25 years old. I know they're $2,000 and up in a major city, but we're not giving you a raise right now. We're not going to let you make $80,000 to $90,000 a year. We want you to be able to come back to work every now and then. EV Place. Thank you so much for being in the house. I know a lot of people started their salsa dance celebration on Thursday because those dividend funds, it showed up in the back office saying, oh, dividends are going to be distributed, but you're going to have to wait till Monday night live stream to do the salsa dance. EV Place, welcome to the SSN Nation Friday night financial live stream with a little bit of salsa tonight, with a little bit of heat tonight, because we have to protect the most vulnerable of all. And let me read the tagline. Good evening, everyone. It's Friday, and we are making money here. Button smashed. Thank you so much. Give it that one piece, everybody. If you like what I'm talking about, let me know. If you don't like what I'm talking about, oh, yeah, I like some going back and forth because everybody has different ideas. I'm all willing to hear them. No problema. Oops. Hold on. Did I just speak a little Spanish word? Let me double check. Make sure there's no. Yeah, I don't see any SS ICE officers nearby. I guess I'll be safe for a little bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Tonight's the night. American Lives Matter. It's your hallowed 4th of July weekend, Independence Day. But you know what? I'm going to have to go everywhere tonight. A few years ago, speaking of Independence Day, we had people run over our Capitol, threatening our senators and representatives of the people, by the people, for the people. And some people were saying it was just a day of tourism. Tourists just walking through the hall, no problema. See, ladies and gentlemen, American lives matter. Rule of law matters. But as you now know, American lives may not matter. Rule of law may not matter. Therefore, there's only one way out: money. So while some of you are sitting there working hard today and watching this video after July 4th, and some of you who got a vacation 3-day weekend, so to speak, because 1 day's vacation, the other 2 days you would have been off anyhow, but you got your 3-day vacation, but we have American citizens in danger. They were already in danger because they needed insurance coverages. Now that they have no insurance coverages, that means a burden upon society. And the government did it, and the government is taking our tax money to help these people. So I suggest you start making more money, because you don't know what your situation is going to be a year or 2 or 3 from now. Because if your company says, I got to lay you off, and now you have to look for a job because Microsoft, they're planning to lay off 9,000 people. They already laid off 800 and something in Seattle. They have another 8,000 plus to go around the world. Nice paying jobs, but so sad, too bad. Amazon has laid off people. And you know what happens when you're with Amazon and a corporation and you have health care coverage and you got laid off and you're supposed to have health care coverage for a certain amount of months? Amazon, they told people, we're cutting your insurance, your health insurance. It's going to be cut off. Yes, it doesn't matter you worked there for 15, 20 years. They're saying, sorry, we don't care that you have cancer stage 3 and your treatments would cost you otherwise 20, 30, $40,000. I'm sorry. Not our responsibility. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, keep playing that tune. You live in a third world country. You don't want to believe it. You don't know it yet. And you keep acting like this is a rich country and you're going to keep making livable wages for the next 15, 20 years. You have another thing coming. All right. Post retirement travel, Mr. Worldwide, Mr. and Mrs. Worldwide tag now just came back from, I cannot believe what he said, 7 months of worldwide travel. You know, I love it. And welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. And he says this with his tagline, hello all, let's do this. And he says, happy 4th of July. Thank you so much for that. Happy 4th of July to you and Familia. And very happy you made it back safely. And very happy that you're going to be going, did you say, like in another month on another worldwide tour? And some people watching this may be going, hey, Eric, American lives matter. You're damn right. And money, money, money is going to be mandatory. I'll be dropping a video. Not tonight, tomorrow. But nonetheless, this man and his wife and his family put things together like what we've been talking about here. Stock portfolio. Check. Worked so he has retirement income coming in. Check. What more can you ask for from an individual to put forth 20, 40 years at least of working for the government? And why do I put it that way? Because you have to pay taxes, so you're working for the government. That's why I put it that way. All right. So, this is what you have to do now, ladies and gentlemen, except you're going to have to expedite it. If you're not already put in your 10, 15, 20 years, got to retire or retire twice, then you have to expedite. How do you expedite? You might have to do high risk, high reward type of investments, like when a crypto comes out. But we don't recommend that here because you have to be safe. Dividend investing is good with the stock market, but it's all going to be based around the stock market because you guys know what happened. The big, beautiful bill just passed, and the rich guys are going to get more money. They already started buying back their shares of stock. Again, like we said on Wednesday night last week, it's go time for the stock market. You got 1 year, 5 months to enjoy the ride. So get in the game. You can't sit idly by because the S&P 500, all-time record. The Dow Jones and Dow Jones, S&P, NASDAQ, Russell 2000, all of them are going to take a rocket ship ride because our man Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve and the Board of Governors are going to sit there and tell us at the end of this month, I predict, we're going to reduce the interest rate 0.25. So everybody's going to feel giddy. They're going to be doing the salsa dance. But I dare tell you this. Make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you do not get in debt. You need to get your debt reduced rapidly, fast. 1 year, 5 months. Get a credit score, 775. That's what you need. You need streams of income. And if you need help, there's some help on the horizon from 501c nonprofit organizations, which unfortunately gets money from the federal government, which has been reduced. But I have to say, go to findhelp.org. Go there if you're an American or not, but you're in America and you have a zip code. There are nonprofits that help people, sometimes for free. That's why you make the phone calls, and sometimes there'll be a minimal charge. But there's all kinds of help that Americans are going to need now from many different avenues and many different sources. So go to findhelp.org. All right, our man Matthew Lesko, who used to be on late night commercials, and you probably still see him with the government grants. That's who told us about it on a live stream it's probably 7 months ago now. All right, here we go. Here we go. ICE is only hunting on Home Depot parking lots, Eric. No, they are at, I am going to my immigration hearing at the courthouse. The judges are in on this terrible situation. They're doing it the right way. Their lawyers, they're with them at the courthouse. You know what the judges are doing in America? They are telling immigrants, your case is dismissed. What do you mean my case is dismissed? I'm here at my immigration hearing trying to get residency, trying to get U.S. citizenship like I'm supposed to with my lawyer. What do you mean you're dismissing my case? You know who's waiting out of courtroom doors? ICE agents are taking the people there into detention centers with no water, food for 2-3 days to another state. So their family members and lawyers can't find them for a few days. You know what else is happening? How about getting pulled over? And by the way, I'm going to go off on tonight because it's supposed to be Independence Day, but it's only Independence Day for a few, not all. So here's the other thing. I'm showing up at my immigration office because I'm supposed to check in every 30 days. Guess who's there waiting for me? ICE. And they're taking people from the immigration office the right way. So it's not about the right way. And speaking of American, land of the free, home of the brave, anybody can come here from land at Ellis Island, sign up, let us know you're here and you're good. You know what else is happening for all you voters who say things like, I don't understand why they just don't have voter ID every time you vote. Well, first of all, just like when you went to go vote for the very first time, you had to show ID, right? You have to show other documentation, your address or whatever, right? So after you vote the first time and everything gets checked, why do you have to already go again when they know your social security number? They know what you look like. They know everything about you. They know where you live because you have a precinct to go vote. Why do I need an ID? Please explain. The only reason you need an ID is so when I come in and I show you my ID, you're going to sit there and do this. I'm sorry, we don't accept that ID. We don't recognize that ID here. You can't vote. So, why do I bring that up? Is because in the state of Florida, when people are showing that they have a real ID, yes, a real ID, you know, the one that you had to show your birth certificate, your passport, had to show a couple of references to where you live and all that to get a real ID. You know what the ICE agents are doing? They're cutting it up and telling the person, we think it's fake, and then detaining the US citizen. Do you know where you live? That is what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. So, do you think I'm going to be happy about that? I don't think so. You're sadly mistaken. All right. Here we go with the Ripple. Exactly. Once again, Ripple is applying for the bank license so they can be like Circle. Hey, we missed out on Circle, ladies and gentlemen. 500% increase in a matter of like 30 days. Well, EV Place, you got to get some XRP, ladies and gentlemen. Is it still $2 and something? Because this could potentially, well, actually, Ripple and XRP are two different things, by the way. Ripple is not XRP, EV Place. You know they're separate, right? Ripple actually has a network with the banks to process at almost zero cost around the world. That is not XRP. Ripple and XRP are not doing, they're separate. So we got to be careful on what they're going to do. And you got to know what they're going to do. They're not using XRP. I'll just put it that way. But XRP will rise because of it. I'm just saying. So let me go see right now because this is financial news and updates. This is how we come up very fast because just like that 500% from Circle, you could have been in for like 30, 40 bucks and now it's 250 to 300. It's 300, I think, last I saw. You could love 500% return in a month, right? I mean, let's get real. It's $2.22. Is XRP. So it's still relatively inexpensive so people can get it. But again, if you're going to be involved with Ripple is the one doing the bank license and Ripple is also the company that's been going around the world and already working with banks. This is what people may not understand and be confused about because Ripple is a separate company than XRP. It's the same like guys I would have to say, but they're separate. XRP is on the cryptocurrency blockchain. Ripple is an actual different business that already does transactions with the bank. They're not using crypto. But this right here could be something major. But I think they're going to actually get a stock symbol. I don't think they're going to use XRP. I think they're going to do a stock symbol, which means it's a separate entity, or they might be using XRP, but I don't know how that's going to work because all countries are not down with cryptocurrency, which is backed by nothing because you know what ultimately is going to happen. Let's just say I'm the bad guy. Let's just say I'm a bad guy. I'm, which governments seem to be, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to find the guys that are controlling the crypto that I want them to control, and then I'm going to tell them, I need some coins. That's what I'm going to do. Or I'm going to throw you in jail. All right, let's get real out here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm just saying, but be very careful with that. I do understand what you're saying, though. And we have first spot ETF on Solana, more coming at the fall. Solana is very interesting as well. This is all going to play the same. All of these cryptos, the major ones, are going to try and get an ETF because that means there's going to be an influx of money. There are millions of dollars based on whether it's going to be BlackRock, Vanguard, whoever. They're all going to get a piece. Even banks are going to invest in them. if it's they feel it's viable. So what's going to happen with the crypto? It's going to go up. But who's going to be left holding the bag? Because it can only go up so far and so much, right? Because it's not backed by anything unless you feel transactions is what backs it. But again, there's no guarantee that there's going to be indefinite transactions. Sooner or later, there has to be a consolidation. And when you start throwing money into an ETF that's backed by money, and it's Solana and it's Bitcoin and it's Ethereum, and you have millions of dollars, you know what that means. These guys now can join up, partner up, do all kind of crazy stuff and buy up whoever they want. So that's why who gets an ETF first matters. And if we're talking about Solana, I always like Solana, quite frankly. I got to say that. Yeah, man, alligator Alcatraz on Everglades swamps. Ladies and gentlemen, American citizens are being detained. Um, that means it could be you with no court dates. So some people are just grabbing off the street, putting them in detention. There's no court date. American citizens. After they've shown ID, after they've shown whatever they've shown, it's against all constitutional rules. Alligator Alcatraz. It's already raining. It flooded, or shall I say, water's on the floor. It's a prison. Did you guys see pictures? I did. It's a freaking prison. Here is the most disgusting thing I saw yesterday, and I lost my mind. I saw a president in America say something like, the farmers need workers. I think these people that we have in detention should go work on the farms. The people who are going to watch them are the owners of the farms. They're going to vouch for them. When I heard this, I thought I was dreaming. I thought it was the Twilight Zone. I thought somebody was going to come to me and say, this is a joke. He's talking about slavery as a normal thing. And I'm sitting there like, he did not just say they're going to work on a farm and the farm owner is going to vouch for them and be over them. And what? Are we serious right now as we celebrate the 4th of July, Independence Day? Now, being a black guy, I'm sorry. I want to hurt somebody listening to something come out of somebody's mouth like that. I can't believe we have American citizens thinking that is okay while they're also taking 15 to 20 million American citizens off of any help, medical help, Medicare, Medicaid, Section 8. FEMA is going to be very interesting in Texas because the people over in North Carolina are still waiting. The people over in Arkansas are still waiting, and they had to appeal to even get a little bit of funds. I'm really going to see what's going to happen over in Texas. And it's not over. The people in California with the fires, American citizens, they're not getting help either. And now I'm hearing slavery as a option for these that people that are detained that are supposedly here illegally are now going to stay on American soil, but they got to be slaves. So you weren't going to ship them out. And you're putting the border wall up to keep people in. Israel, anybody? Palestine, Israel, keeping people in? Are you guys getting it yet? So, 5 years ago, when I was sitting right here saying, guys, you better get some property outside of America. You better get bank accounts outside of America because you never know when you might have to leave. When I said, hey, you're going around the world buying property. What happens if you can't get to Costa Rica? What happens if you can't get to Colombia? What happens if you can't get to Mexico? You know what other three borders are open? Both oceans, Pacific and Atlantic, and Canada's border is open between the US. So you can get on some boats. And so, therefore, now you understand why we landed Dominican Republic as an option at the time for a lot of pre construction projects or buying inexpensive properties. Either way, it's going down, Americans. American lives matter. Oh, and by the way, Americans is not just US citizens. They're people with work permits. They're people with residency status. They're people with asylum protection. There's people that go to school that have a visa to go to school. But oh my, those don't count anymore either. The work permit, the visa, revoked. If you're still in the country, you're going to be in detention and now potentially in some sort of slavery. Where's the militias at? Oh, wait. All the tough guys aren't showing up just yet to stop this. All right. We're going to find out what this nation's made of. And unfortunately, it's going to pit Americans versus Americans because somebody wants to go back to 1810. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Where am I at? Alligator Alley. Brian P. Mr. Dividend is in the house. He has a lot of dividends, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be doing the salsa dance on Monday along with a whole bunch of other people. And welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night live stream. It's temperature up in here tonight, and it's not cool. It's on hot. Happy day, Eric. Thank you so much, man. I hope all is well with you. It's going well as long as I'm not in detention camp. Happy 4th. Happy day, SSN family. Smash that like button. American citizens, have you been naturalized? Naturalized United States citizens have also been detained. Oh, you think it's not you, right? Oh, yeah. It's getting there, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting there. Smash that like button. Give it a one piece, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. Thank you. Give us that one piece so the YouTube guys know that we're in the house, even though they try to suppress. But it's all good. It still gets out there. Thank you, everybody on the podcast, for listening as well. Twitch, thank you. Facebook, I see you. Thank you. All right, let's keep going. We are making money in here. That's what you have to do now, ladies and gentlemen. Money, money, money. You have no options at this point. First of all, think about this. Think about this. There's United States citizens right now and migrants and a whole bunch of people that have apartments, cars, and belongings inside of their house, right? Think about getting grabbed off the street, you and your loved ones. You're the breadwinner, don't have no more money. ICE shows up to your house, starts grabbing you, starts saying, hey, hold on, are you a U.S. citizen? You're coming with us, starts ransacking your house. Takes you and the kids, puts you in detention. You're in there for weeks. Guess what happens at your house? Gone. Stuff is gone. Your stuff is gone. Door's broken. You get out 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later. Go to your house. Nothing's there. Go find out if ICE took it. ICE says, I don't know what you're talking about. Where's my car? It was in the driveway. I don't know what you're talking about. This is what's happening to American citizens and migrants, but nobody's safe. So if you think that it's all good that people that have work permits showing up in court, showing up at the immigration offices, and getting in detention and losing everything, if you think that's cool, congratulations. Maybe you should have been born in 1910 so you could be in Germany when Hitler did this stuff to everybody who did not agree with him. Then you would have a different story. We making money in here. You're damn right. Joe Nay's in the house. He's over there chilling, just where we were talking about 5 years ago. He says, hey, I got a plan. Welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday night live stream. And he brings his tagline, what's good, everybody? You know it's good, man. We here live, and we have people watching, and we have people smashing that like button. And some people may not like the rhetoric because you know what they do to me. It's harmful rhetoric, Eric. You can't be monetized anymore. I'll take that because I'm still going to have a voice. It ain't about the money. Joe Nay says, what's good, everybody? How is everybody doing? I need to know how's everybody doing on this 4th of July. American lives matter. But no government's coming to save you, ladies and gentlemen. They're taking away all the safety nets. Sooner or later, they're going to get around to taking away some of that, that money that's sitting in our Social Security fund. They're going to get around to starting to take some of that too. Because when you have a declining empire and those at the top already know they have less sales, they know they need to raise prices, they know things are going downhill, they would rather snatch the money the old-fashioned way, steal it. That's how it works. Yes, it's separate. Exactly. No flights into France. ATC are on strike. Exactly, Jonay. There you go. There we go. You know what else is funny? American citizens are getting penalized around the world because of the activity of this administration. Has anybody went to Mexico lately? Has anybody went to other countries lately? Notice that some countries are telling American citizens you need visas now. Your passport's no good here. Or shall I say your passport will be used, but they're saying, I want to see a visa. We want to allow you in. Can you believe this? In the 2025. This is unbelievable what's happening. All right. Yeah, there's a strike in Philly as well. Okay, can ICE and DNS go on strike? Exactly. I would faint if I was a Hispanic and was sent to South Sudan, gang member or not. There's no gang members, man. Have you seen them parading around any gang members? Come on. And by the way, so now they're telling me that gang members are at immigration meetings at the courthouse? Are they telling me gang members are now showing up every 30 days at the immigration offices? Are they telling me gang members have work permits? Is this what they're showing up at the fields that's picking fruit, so that's what gang members are doing, making $2 a bushel a day, every bushel they get for the day, working 10 hours. That's where the gang member is too. The gang member is walking down the street with his dog and his family. Why aren't they going to where the gang hideout is? I guess it's the same reason why they don't go to the KKK hideout. I don't know. What the hell? Another terrorist group that's been able to terrorize people for 200 years. Again, why don't they go to the Patriot Front's hideout? Same reason they're not an MS-13 hideout? Or is it different? To use a boogeyman, that's not a boogeyman. But we know the boogeymen exist because they're walking around with masks on and a Nazi flag. And so why aren't we going there? That's non-American to me. Or is it? Hmm. Do you know where you live? I do. All right. Yeah. People are getting shipped to South Sudan. That's correct. American citizens, migrants from Guatemala, Mexico, Colombia. I mean, yeah. But they have a new solution. They're going to work for farms, and the farmer's going to vouch for them. And they're going to be good there. Slavery is what this asshole described yesterday on TV. DJT, the president of the United States, talking some BS. Oh, by the way, I will say this. You better start thinking about brass and a lot of it. I will start saying investments in other things may be necessary. Some hardware. You might need some of that. A lot of it. Just saying. Again, MS-13. Where are they? Why don't you bring them out? Let's see them. I want to see somebody talking about Ripple is targeting 10% international money transfers from Swift. Yeah, they've already Ripple's already been operating with banks. That's the thing, but XRP is not Ripple. That's the problem. They were never able to because remember the SEC was against making crypto a mainstream monetary transfer. So they were like, "No, we're not going to allow that," because what they do understand is that a lot of people do not understand. You can be happy that they're going to rush and do all this ETF and all that, but what you guys don't understand is you're devaluing the American dollar. The US dollar is devalued because now you're using a different currency to pay things. The only value to a currency is when people use it. So when you start using $1 million in your duffel bag of cash and you say, I'm going to throw it into an electronic system, that $1 million is sitting in an individual's hands, or he might spread it around individually. But on the other side, if all of a sudden you say, hey, this thing went up 300%, you owe them back 300%. You got to change that currency back into 300%. Do you not see there's going to be a problem? It doesn't exist. The 300% doesn't exist. So therefore, how you only gave us $1 million, but it went, now you got to give them back 3 million. But you don't have 3 million in cash. You only have 1 million. So where are you supposed to get the other 2 million? Do you see a problem here? You're going to get it out of thin air because it doesn't exist. And that's inflationary. That also devalues your currency. Just like if you get a loan, same thing. It devalues your currency. All right, check out the video I'm about to drop tomorrow, and I'll tell you something right now, and I'll give you a little something ahead of it. Hello, Tamara Larry, another investor who's going to be doing the salsa dance on Monday from those dividends. Welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. And she brings her tagline this evening that says, hello, all. Well, hello to you. Hopefully, you are off and going to be able to enjoy a 3-day weekend. All right, let's go. Liberty Twitcher, welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night live stream. The general rule of thumb is that when you hear it's time to invest in something, it's already too late. Liberty Witcher, Twitcher, you are exactly right. You are exactly right. You're supposed to be riding the upside, not after you hear something. He's exactly right. Wouldn't that apply to Bitcoin too? Well, Liberty Twitcher, it does not apply to Bitcoin. You know why? Americans, lives matter too. Your financial lives are at stake right now. Here's the reason why I'm going to give my thoughts on it. It doesn't apply to Bitcoin. You know why? It's just like why stocks keep going up. Let me explain. What you can do with stocks is what they're going to do with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and ETFs and all that, right? Same rules apply. You can already be a corporation and buy back your shares of stock. By being able to buy back your shares of stock, what does that do? That increases your stock price out of thin air. So I'm holding 1,000,000 shares of XYZ stock. The stock price is $20. Now I'm the corporation holding the 1,000,000 shares. I go in and buy back my shares of stock, and my price goes from $20 to $35. So I went from 10 million to 35 million. I get to go down and tell everybody, look, can I borrow a few more $1,000,000? But wait, I'm the president right now, and I say, hold on, man, you don't have to buy any more or borrow any money or do anything. Just enjoy that little spark that you just did yourself. I'm going to do the biggest tax cut, tax break in history, and I'm going to move some money to you for all your hard work to make the stock market go up to make me look good. The same rules are going to apply with Bitcoin. When the ETFs come out and keep doing this ETF Bitcoin thing, they're going to buy more Bitcoin. So it's going to produce a higher price. So you're going to have to be in the game. Now, as far as what I was talking about, where you're devaluing the currency, yes, it works the same way. So now you're going to hurt Americans even more. Because once people start putting money into the Bitcoin, into the Ethereum, into the XRPs, into the stable coins, doing all this stuff, and then people cash out and they're going to need more than the money supply. Where are you going to get the money from? It's simple, really. It's pretty simple. But yes, I agree with that. It's going to apply is the same rules apply, devaluing your currency, because somehow they're going to have to print up more money. Or they're going to keep it all digital, but you're still going to add more money into the money supply. And so, by the way, I have something for you that I made a video already. I wanted to release it earlier, but I was talking with my daughter, so I did not release it earlier. But do you know that $12,000 in 1959 is worth $1,080 and some cents in 2025? That's how far the devaluing has occurred over the last 66 years. And reverse it. $12,000. You would now have to have $132,000. That is the equivalent of what $12,000 could buy in 1959. Think about this. This is how they've devalued the currency with tax cut, tax breaks every GOP administration since 1980. Because Ronald Reagan got to do it, trickle down theory. George Bush 1 got to do it. Then they had George Bush 2 got to do it. Then after he did it, then the recession, the Great Recession occurred. So now you had to create more money to give to the banks to make sure they don't fail and other corporations out of thin air because we were 20 some trillion dollars in debt at the time, devaluing your currency even more. And then 2017, we did it again. And now here we are once again. And this is when it's over, ladies and gentlemen. It's over. 1 year, 5 months. It's fini. You better have everything in order financially, low debt, because your interest rates are going to be off the charts. They're going to explode later. So you better have a 775. And by the way, I don't have anything going right now, but anybody that watches this on replay, I'll have some information to get your debt resolution in case you want to cut your debt in half, not have to file bankruptcy. You get with Tracy at resolvefinance.com. That's an email address. TRACY, Tracy at resolvefinance.com. I'm going to put something down below to help people. That's what we do here, ladies and gentlemen. Not only do we just, talk about problems, but we, of course, have to talk about helping people. That's why you got to go to findhelp.org if you want to help people in America. Put in the zip code, see what can help you around there. I don't see a problem. So that can help a lot of people. Nonprofits within the state, some of the helpful people or corporations, nonprofits, some of them can help you for no money. Some of them ask for a little money because, everything costs. You have to have a staff, even though it says nonprofit, it's not really nonprofit. People don't all volunteer, right? You don't have, everything isn't your electricity bill and all that stuff, right? You have to pay some things. So keep that in mind. Down below, I have that, Tracy at resolvefinance.com. It's there. I now put it in. You can double check. If you're on mobile, you can refresh and hit more and it'll pop up. If you're on a desktop, unfortunately, you would have to refresh this whole live stream you're watching right now. I'm doing some things in the background. Okay. Also, yes, you should be in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you should be in Bitcoin. You should be on some of these ETFs. You're going to have to pay attention because there's going to be a whirlwind where there's going to be this thing. Just what happened with Circle. I didn't see it coming, but that 300 to 400% increase in a matter of less than a month was crazy. And now they're going to try and do it again with another, whether it's going to be Ripple, whether it's going to be something else. They want to get in on this gravy train, and they just pumped all the money into the hands of the richest with this bill. So that means they're going to use that money in the stock market, and they're going to use the money in the crypto markets. Duh. Because they're going to be getting the free upsides. Or shall I say, not free, but they're going to get the upsides. But it is free if taxpayers are giving them money. We're going to have to fork out $4 trillion over the next 10 years for all this mayhem that's about to occur. All right. So, and Jerome Powell and the federal the board of governors, they're going to do what they should do. How did you like those emails? Hey, man, disturbing, disgusting. I looked at a few of them. My God, man, it's getting so bad out here that people don't know that executives of corporations are stealing money. The insurance companies aren't paying people when they have their health care bills are popping up. I mean, this is getting so bad, but they keep it under the radar. The mainstream media is like scared. You know why they're scared? Because we have a president who said, if I don't like what you're talking about, I'm going to try and get your license revoked. Can you believe this? Threatening the media because they're giving out information. Like, I'll give out information. Like, Doge, waste, fraud, and abuse. So we want to check out Medicare and Medicaid. Well, this big bill cuts almost $1 trillion of Medicaid, Medicare. Actually does when they're combined. You know who got pardoned? Or which president pardoned people for Medicare and Medicaid fraud in the billions, in the millions of dollars? This one. You don't see a problem with that, individuals out here watching? The same guy that he says we want to worry about waste, fraud, and abuse of the Medicare, Medicaid system pardon people that did fraud and owes people money. Hospitals are owed money. Nursing homes are owed money. They stole the money, the funds from Medicaid and Medicare to pay for people's services. He pardoned not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, more people than that. We're talking about hundreds of millions and billions that hospitals and medical facilities were defrauded. Do you guys understand this? This is the same guy. Do you think they care about your ass? No, they're cutting your services. They don't care. All right, Eric, do you know anything about the worthiness of a $100 bill from 1981? No. A store in Turkey traded a $100 bill they had for $65 for me. Uh, I don't know anything about the $100 bill from 1981. I've never heard of this. I'm gonna have to find out what you're talking. The Turkey store told me that Turkey banks won't accept $100 bills older than the year 2000. Oh, yeah, when they started putting the strip in. Yeah, I checked in the USA. Those bills are still good. My plan is to hold it for a few years. I don't understand. I don't understand. So they won't accept bills older than 2000. I get it. All the currency, whether it was from 1960 and that's $100 bill or 2025 and $100 bill, it doesn't. USA is going to accept it. Outside of the country, they may not because they have no way to know if it's fraudulent. But I don't think there's any value for. I don't. So you mean you lost? What are you saying? You lost $35 for $100 bill? I don't understand. I know the dollar is down. So yeah, I don't know what the trade is right now. That's interesting. Very interesting. I've never heard this before. Speaking of Germany, Eric from EV Place, Germans are pushing out illegal immigrants through Polish border illegally. Ordinary people are starting to patrol the borders. Exactly, man. This is a worldwide epidemic. Humans want to see other humans out of their area and somewhere else. And there's a whole big ass world out here. This is incredible, man. I know it's happening in a lot of locations, just like DR is building a wall. I Dominican Republic's building a wall between them and Haiti. I'm like, are you serious? You can't even build your own infrastructure, and you're worried about a wall between another country and yourself, and a wall is not going to stop somebody from jumping the wall or going underneath the wall or going around the wall in the ocean. I mean, this is crazy right now. And here's the other factor. Without immigration, all countries die. You always need immigrants or slaves. And I'm not advocating for slavery. How do you think Dubai is being built so fast? Anybody ever wonder? Anybody ever wonder why Indians from India is going to Dubai? Because there's a work, there's a job, there's this, that, and the other allegedly. Then when they get there, you know what they're doing? Chopping up, not chopping, getting their passport, getting their papers. And then when they thought they were getting a nice paying job, they say it's half. And oh, by the way, we have the tent set up with you and your other 50 friends from India. Here's some buckets. Here's some water. That's what's happening. That's how they're building it so fast on the backs of exploitation. Our president wants to do that here in America. Instead of pay people livable wages, instead of paying, making sure people have a path to residency or visa or work permits. No, don't want to do it that way. Buy a cup of coffee of Bitcoin and ETH daily. Also, how about the prices for SPY, QQQ, and VOO? They're on fire. That's exactly right. They're going to stay on fire. The big, beautiful bill made that happen. So that's why on Wednesday last week, we were telling everybody now is the time. Don't wait. It's going down because we knew the bill was going to be passed, right? We knew the bill was going to be passed on this Wednesday, right? We were talking about it. So you still had a chance to make sure you got in, get your stocks ready because on Monday, it's off to the races. Well, it already started on Thursday, but it's off to the races. We knew it was going to be because as soon as it passes, it's going to be off to the races. It did not matter. It was going to pass. We have sellouts going out here wanting to see American citizens die. American citizens have issues. That is a travesty. We have people in Washington that are saying, I don't care. Can you guys believe the lady in Alaska? Is her name Lisa Murkowski in the Senate? I couldn't believe what I was watching the other day. She was a holdout in the Senate and said, oh, no, I can't have this because 30 or 40% of my citizens in Alaska receive Medicaid, Medicare. I can't vote for this. You know what happened? They go behind closed doors. She agrees to pass it because they said we're going to give a carve out for Alaska. So you don't have to worry about your constituents. Can you? And she says yes. I will now say yes. So the rest of the country is effed. But because her state of Alaska gets a carve out, so her citizens don't have a problem with Medicaid and Medicare, you know she's being a dumbass, right? You know that's not going to happen. You know she's going to still get cut. Come on now. But nonetheless, she sold out American citizens. So a few of her citizens are good. Can you believe the audacity of somebody saying this, admitting this, and then getting on national TV going, no, that's not what I did. No, that's not what's happened. No, it's not that. And has the audacity to say it'll be sent back to the House of Representatives. I'm pretty sure they're going to send it back up here like, huh? What is she saying? I was like, I can't believe this devil of a person did this. This is why I'm livid. Listening to all this while American lives, migrants who are doing it the right way, are sitting here trying to do the right thing, showing up at their government agencies, thinking they're going to their court hearing, thinking they're going to their immigration office meeting for the month, thinking they're showing up at their job, and they're getting detained, sent to a place like Alligator Alley. Come on. Get your passport ready. Get yourself some and get your passport ready. We'll see you at the airport. Hey, man, you better be careful going to the airport. Two more stocks to look at. Robinhood, I agree with you. Palantir, post-retirement travel. You've been on that, that whirlwind tour. We've already been all over the PLTR and PLTY, by the way. And Hood is unbelievable because Robin Hood has been doing some awesome stuff. Can anybody believe that these guys are actually offering some sort of mortgage for 5.9%? Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we knew this was going to happen because that bill passes. Now $1 trillion is streaming to the big boys. Everybody's going to be like, oh, now we can do stuff. Free money, thank you, on the backs of you, the American citizens. But yes, Hood is good. In fact, Hood gave out a nice, I think it was $3, was it last time? It was, I think it was $3 dividend last month. I think it was. Yeah, Hood, I like what they're doing. Robin Hood finally got their ship right. They have a bunch of people. They're of in the pockets of the Vanguard groups and the BlackRock groups. They do what, they listen to them. Anyhow, my plan is to hold it for a few years as a collector's item. The 1981, but I don't understand though. It's not a collector's item, is it? PLTR stock is over 68%. Of course it is. Peter Thiel runs Pelletier. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those nights. You know, post-retirement travel is a veteran. He probably had to go through basic training. He probably had to put in his years and had to go to test and had to go to school to move up in his ranks. Can you believe this administration added 4 people, lieutenant colonel status, who's never been in the military, calling it security, computer security? Peter Thiel, the owner of Pelletier, who gets your facial recognition, who gets your thumbprints, who can dive back into security to go check your emails, get your phones and get all of your information. They now gave him a military post along with 3 other rich guys, oligarchs who never served their country, and Peter Thiel is from South Africa. Do you get where this is going yet, Americans? You think they're after one demographic. They're after everybody else too that doesn't meet that top 10% or useful idiot criteria. Be careful where this goes. I'm just saying. So, once you know this type of thing, here you go. Let me do this. Let me go pull this up. Let me go pull this up real quick because there's some people that they're lost. They don't realize what's going down. Department of Defense granted honorary lieutenant colonel status in the U.S. Army to Peter Thiel and 3 other tech executives last week, June 17th, 2025. The co-founder of Pelletier, a company known for its data analysis software and contracts with the military. They were actually doing this. Sworn in. And Palantir has spy tech, like I told you guys already. So they're putting all of these guys in place. And yes, Hood, stock over 128% return for last 6 months. Exactly. It looks to be a good one. Well, Wall on the Island. Yes, EV place. Instead of building infrastructure, instead of getting Dominican citizens better jobs, putting in place something else other than hospitality industry, having to work on tips and less than wages you should have. Instead of putting it forth into some manufacturing so you can employ your citizens to make a livable wage beyond what they're calling a livable wage is in DR right now. That's what we're talking about. Exactly. Exactly. Can you believe? I know, man. Hard to believe what's going on in this world. Brian P. Los Angeles paid out nearly 1 billion in liability claims. Exactly, Brian P. Exactly, man. These payouts is ridiculous. I'm 10% up on PLTY value. Exactly, EV Place. Because remember, PLTY always hovered around 60 to 66, right? And so that's what the sweet spot is. But remember, in April, the nosedive, you could have bought under 60 to have a dollar cost average under 60, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go look at PLTY just to make sure I'm talking about the right stock. I'm pretty sure I am. But let me just double check. Let me see what they're if I'm right, because it should be around 63 right now. That's PLTY. Yep, 60 PLTY, 63.37 that gives out dividends. That's right, dividends, ladies and gentlemen. You like distribution of 50%, 60% dividends. Yes, I'm looking at it here. It did go down to, oh wait, no, it went down to, oh, that's nothing. That's 62. That's just in one day. I'm looking for the where that dip was. Yeah, it was down at $50 April 4th, 51, 52 April 4th, ladies and gentlemen. You guys were here. You could have had your dollar cost average under $60. And if you had it under 60, you would be saying things like, or 60 in that matter of speaking, you would be $3 per share ahead. Plus, you would still enjoy 60 or 70% return. I don't know what it is for PLTY, but I do know it's not 10%. All right. That's what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen. PLTY, it's a Yield Max ETF dividend stock. And in fact, I'm going to go talk about it right now since we're into it. Let's go see. Hey, Eric, did you see the article on Mapped where Americans are moving to and from? No, I didn't see that one. I didn't get to it yet because I've been doing some other things as well, trying to get into the oil business. So I've had to start checking out some things. EV Place, OpenAI got contract from military also. Exactly. So when you're sitting there doing this stuff, OpenAI, I need da. They're capturing all of it. You live in a police state as well, ladies and gentlemen. Are you guys getting there yet? Okay. And and we already have ICE agents working against the United States citizens and migrants and everybody else around the world. Think about that. So if you think some benevolent agency's gonna worry about if they're stepping on you as an American citizen, you have another thing coming. My average on PLTY is 56.50. See, EV Place $6, $7 per share. Upside plus getting the great returns from Max ETF. It can't get no better than that. I know that's what I'm saying. But I look at 63, 62, 64. That's still a good number. Because right now, at this price point, it's 66.98% distribution rate. So all you need is hoping that it stays within this $60 to $66 range. And you'll take that 69, 67% distribution rate all the way to the bank. So if somebody says, how can you get your profits, get your revenues, get your income streams up? This is how you can do it, ladies and gentlemen. If you can get this, we don't know, but I think we are. You know why? Because the stock market is going to run now. Because the rich are getting more money in their pockets. They're going to buy more shares of stock and it's going to run. And Jerome Powell's going to come in 2-3 weeks from now and his friends and say, we're going to cut 0.25. So everything's going to run and it's going to run for 1 year, 5 months. That'll give you, the ordinary citizen, plenty of time to build some wealth rapidly. It's rare that you're going to be able to build wealth in 2 years, less than 2 years. This is your time. You got a Bitcoin, Ethereum run possibility and other altcoins. XRP could potentially, depending on if Ripple actually kind of melds it together somehow, which they can now. So watch for that. And you have crypto, stocks, housing could light up. Real estate could light up because they start reducing rates. And by the way, the bonds market started shrinking. It's not 4.5 anymore, it's 4.2. So if they reduce the interest rates and if the bond market goes under 4, then you're going to have situations 3.9. You're going to find people talking 5.8 for mortgage, 5.5 for mortgage. People will say hallelujah because now those of you who make 60, 70,000, $100,000, you can now buy a $400,000 house because that's $2,000 a month. And now, no, you need to make 6 grand. So you got to make 6 times 12, 72,000 a year at least. A household with 2 people, you're going to make that because the average price after you take off 10% of the population, the top 10% of the population, how much they make, you take them out of the equation, the average price is $45,000. So 2 people would make about $90,000. So now you can buy an average $400,000 house. Congratulations. And it's going to happen this month. Congratulations. So you get a ride 4 different ways, ladies and gentlemen. That's why you can't sit on the sidelines. Just remember the rules. 1 year, 5 months. Your debt, your credit needs to be 775. If it is, that means you have low debt. Let's just put it real. They coincide. So get your debt down, 775 credit score. Make sure you get additional streams of revenue how you can. And you'll be off to the races. If you need help, down below in the description box, go look. I have it. If you need to boost your credit score up, fine. But you need to wipe out your debt, then do so. Use Tracy at Resolve Finance. It's down below in the description box. Some of you still don't even have a brokerage account. How does this happen? Robinhood gives you a free share of stock, so go and register with Robinhood. If you don't like Robinhood, that's fine. Then maybe you like Webull. But Webull makes you now deposit money, like put in 100, and they'll give you anywhere from 5 to 15 shares of stock. Okay, if that doesn't float your boat, then there's the last one. There's Moomoo down below. I'm adding it as we speak. They require you to add $100 or more into the account, buy some shares, and then you have to have that $100 average for 60 days. And then they're going to give you 5 shares of stock or maybe more. It varies because they always have different promotions. So the link is down below. And if some of you are just shy of buying stocks and say, hey, you know what? I just want to be in an investment group. Well, there's a Wealthfront, and that link's down below, and they'll invest for you. You don't have to buy shares of stock. You can go Wealthfront. Or right now, you can go VOO, VGT, VTI, Vanguard Group ETFs. And by the way, Vanguard gave a little dividend this past week. I know they normally give a little dividend every now and then. It's not worth crowing about, but at least they gave a little something. Um, that's just for starters. So, Wealthfront, they actually do everything for you. Put $500 in to $499 or $4,990, no fee. VOO, VGT, VTI that I just mentioned, which is the Vanguard Group, they're going to be on fire. Um, there's a few others as well. They're all going to be on fire because the Magnificent Seven is going to be on fire, which is Microsoft and Google and Facebook and uh, who am I missing? There's 7 of them. Amazon. They're all going to be on fire. S&P 500 tech stocks going to be on fire. So you can't sit on the sidelines. Disposable income, a cup of coffee for some Bitcoin, Ethereum, stocks. Got to go for it, ladies and gentlemen. You got 1 year, 5 months to get everything in order. All right, let's go. Bonds a little up to 4.35. Okay, what are we talking about, EV Place? You doing the 10 year or something else? Because it depends on if you're doing a 2 year, 1 year, 10 year, 30 year. Which one are you using? Let me go look, CNBC. Because you're right if you're using any of the other. I'm using the 10 year. In fact, let me go look it up. No, it is 4.2. I know the 10 year is 4.2 because that's what it was on Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it's 4.2. So you must be talking about a different one. I'm going to go look it up, though. S&P 500 sets new record on Thursday. Of course, the bill passed. It's records from now on. So the party started. And I implore everybody here in the SSN Nation, you have to be in the game. This is not the time to sit on the sideline. 10 year. Oh, I know why. I know. Let me go look. I'm looking it up right now. Um, hold on. Let me go look it up. I don't think it's. I don't think it's 4.3. I don't think it is. Hey, what's happening? If it is 4.35, good. But either way, it's gonna be coming down. Well, it's already. No, it hasn't really. I mean, it did go up to 4.5. And has gone to 4 point. You say it's 3.5. I think it's 4.2 something, but we'll see. I haven't been able to get it up. But anyhow, the real news is people may not know, but mortgage rates traditionally follow the 10 year. So when somebody says, how does Robinhood do 5.9? It's because the bond rate is 4.5 or less. So that's why they're going to say, okay, because they're going to use some sort of, backed by government, right? So they're going to use 4.5. Great. So they make the difference, 1.4. When you start talking about millions of dollars of mortgage loans, 1% starts being a lot of money. But that's not where the money is. The money is if I can get myself 100 homes at $400,000 each and claim on paper that's $40 million. Do you think I'm caring about the 1% that I can make 1.5, 1.4% that I can make every month for the next 30 years? Hell no. I'm going to somebody and say, this is worth $40 million. How much you going to give me today? And all they have to do is say something like, here's 10, 12, 15 million. And now I have all that money up front. You can have it. You take the risk on collecting. It's a derivative that they care about. It's not the actual. Who cares about what rate it is? They get to flip it quickly. All right. That's how you make money, ladies and gentlemen. All right. I can't pull it up. I agree. 4.2 Wednesday. Yeah. Okay. It was 4.2 Wednesday. Exactly. So are you saying it went up on. That's interesting. That's very. Oh, I was wondering about that now that you mentioned it. You know what I was thinking? I was thinking, where is it? What's going on here? I was thinking, if you know that you're going to do this bill and the rest of the world knows that you're going to do the bill, why would you have it at 4.2 for your bond, knowing the United States is about to go on an epic run on the stock market? I wondered what would happen. I've never tracked it. So I find it very interesting. So if it's at 4.35, which I can't pull it up for some reason, then I'm going to have, oh, here it is. Yes, 4.348% now. In 24 hours, it went up 1 percentage point. That's very interesting. For future reference, I'm going to think about that next time. The UK 10-year is 4.5, which, hey, that helps them. Japanese 10-year is 1.4, which is crazy. Can you guys, I mean, let's talk about this, Americans. Japan, these guys and everybody else is loving life, except for UK. They're not loving life. But Japan, loving life. France, their 10-year is 3.2. Both France and Japan can arbitrage. Japan could sell, which is what they're doing. They could sell bonds for 1.43, right? Percent. It's the same value of the US dollar, basically, right? So somebody comes and buys $10 million worth of a Japanese, what's their currency? Um, Damn, I can't remember what their currency is. But anyhow, the Japanese money, I only think of China right now, the yuan, but it's the Japanese yen. So anyhow, the yen. So they flip it. They go, oh, we'll take that 100. Well, I said 10 million, but we'll take that 100 million. Let's go buy United States bonds. And now we're getting 4 million a year. And we only owe 1.43 million a year. So now you might understand why they would buy billions, if not trillions, of dollars of United States bonds. And why the rest of the world, along with France, they're probably doing a little arbitrage too, because they get the difference of 1.1% based on theirs as well. Now you understand when the US economy goes Great Recession, that is part of the reason why the rest of the world also goes into a Great Recession, because they invested in the US economy, and when it goes down, they get beat up as well. And that jeopardizes their money as well. So this is why when there's turmoil in the streets like we've had the last 6 months, this is why they're very cautious and why the dollar's value goes down. So when post-retirement travel is traveling around outside of the US, you have to pay more for being on vacation than you normally would have if the dollar value was not going down because of turmoil and other things. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully, thank you so much, EV Place, for getting us up to today's bond number, which will be Monday's bond number of 4.348%. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, it went up to 4.35. Yep. Let's go Japan and arbitrage. Exactly. Hey, you can buy a bond. You can buy their bonds, man. France is third world country. Man, come on now. Man, come on. Uh oh, oh, yeah, yeah. Um, right, because Paris is the tourist location. And some people don't leave Paris. Um, yeah, they're in a what you would call level downward slowly but surely type of scenario. Declining empire from yesteryear. Um, yeah, but I only hang in Paris though. I haven't even been to Nice. I always wanted to go and I never even went. Now I got a problem because I haven't been there. I'm over my 5-year deals. I got to deal with situation in France. Now I'm not so now I'm not all good. Um all right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, American lives matter. Your life matters. So you're going to have to get into this. You're not going to be able to close your eyes and because my immigration policy and social gifts, hey, it's the same all the way around. Immigration is always good when you're exploiting people. When you're done exploiting people and you take money from your citizens to give to the government and the government squanders it away, not in improving citizens' lives or making where their wages can increase. It's just like a business reality, right? What good does it to pay your CEO $100 million over 5 years, but yet your employees still make the same amount of money? What good is this? Because those employees are the ones that buy is your potential is your customer, or maybe not if you're just an independent company that's a does business. But in a corporate structure where you sell products, you need your employees to make more money so they can afford your product. So when you have a capitalist system where we have CEOs who get subsidies, who get tax cut tax breaks, and who receive taxpayers' money through military contracts and subsidies, they're not paying higher wages for these same people to buy their products or service. So sooner or later, the gap gets wider between wealth inequality. They don't care until it hits the fan. The Great Depression, the Great Recession. And then they ask for the same bailout from the people that they're screwing over, the taxpayers. And the government doesn't care. Again, this is a problem. You can't collect rainwater and water your plants in France. I know you can't do that in states in America. There's some states that outlaw. It's a law against that. I was in Hawaii when I found out that in Hawaii they don't want you to collect rainwater when it rains damn near a lot. I mean, like during certain times of the year, every other day, summertime every day. I mean, this is insane. I know. This is what I'm saying. The billionaires, oligarchs own the aquifers for the water, charge you for bottled water. One day they're going to charge you for your life. These are not benevolent people, not all of them. And they can be pressured by government. Just like what happened right now with the feud when Elon Musk all of a sudden, after he got his court cases, his SEC investigation, his DOJ investigations squashed, going in acting like he's a friend and doing the DOGE, and this guy, this guy, he turns around and gets in a feud because he finds out this bill right now says we don't care about EVs. The Green Deal over. We're going back to fire up the coal spots because we're giving the funding for the coal and the gas, oil industries. Pollution, we don't care. Let the peasants have toxic chemicals in their water. Elon Musk, because they said, oh, hey, no, and we might cut his subsidies. He was talking a lot of noise. And then when they said, hey, when Trump says, hey, man, I think we're going to cut your subsidies. In fact, I think we're going to deport Elon. We're going to revoke his citizenship. And we're going to deport him back to South Africa, cut off his subsidies. Got his attention then. All of a sudden, he wasn't, Elon sitting there like, oh, wait, hold on. Hold on a second. I don't know if I should be against this man. Hold on. until he woke back up and said, "Oh, I'm going to do primary against anybody that votes for this bill." Well, I guess the GOP party said, "We're more scared of Trump than you." That didn't work. So now he had to tuck his tail between his legs and go mute. Because when you say, "I may deport you," that could mean Elon Musk in detention. Kind of like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., the boxer, detained in America. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, do you know where you live? Um, if you're thinking about solar panels, do it through November. No more government rebates after. Exactly. No renewables, ladies and gentlemen. This is exactly right. Does somebody remember Solar City? Solar City? Wonder who owned that. Does anybody know? Yes, Elon Musk. Um, so when you're doing this, no more government rebates for EV, solar, wind, nothing. Water, and good luck to everybody that has weather patterns that causes floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, because you're not getting help either. Not the help you're going to need. You're going to be like Puerto Rico. No love. Not coming. It's bad out here. Drill, baby, drill. No, we are the number one oil producer in the world, have been. Drilling more means more bad, toxic chemicals incoming. And gas actually pollutes your environment. Some people are still saying there's no climate change, even though scientists who have been working on this for 30, 40, 50, 60 years are going to try to deceive you into believing that the ozone layer is getting a little thick and it's keeping gases that should be released in. And what's so hard to believe that you're going to have ice and melting and waters rising and weather patterns changing? Why would you think that that's not a probability when you can find boats in the middle of a desert? Because boats, that desert at one time was underwater, so therefore the earth does change. And by the way, anybody that goes to Miami and goes to South Beach, why don't you open your ears up and listen to some humming sounds when you're by, like driving down into the inlet and you're driving and you hear. Do you know people in Miami right now can walk out their front door and their water is 6, 7, 8 inches? Yeah, I know. So as long as people do not want to do the right thing, let's see what's wrong with clean air. What's wrong with getting energy from the sun? What's wrong with getting energy from wind? What's wrong with getting energy from hydroelectricity? What's wrong with having an EV vehicle? I What is really wrong? So you can keep the oil and gas and coal industry and give them billions of dollars every year? I don't understand. Why not give the billions of dollars to the people in the form of rebates and clean energy? When you start combining oil, gas, toxic chemicals coming out of factories into our water stream and underground water supply, I mean, what's wrong with it when you really think of it? Why would anybody be against that? Come on now. It would be cheaper. Energy would be cheaper. Now all of a sudden wait a minute, the energy grid, your electric bill and gas bill may be non-existent or cheaper. So we're saving the rich dudes. Is that what we're doing here in America? And they're using our tax dollars to give them subsidies and tax cuts and tax breaks. These same people, when you could have solar panels on everybody's house for at least daylight hours for the most part in a lot of areas, when you could have allow some windmills or something, nothing wrong with looking like the Dutch landscape. I don't see a problem. What's wrong with me having batteries that I can put in my house and absorb any electricity that I can get in? So that way, when the electricity's off or it's nighttime, I can use it. What's wrong with that? I don't see why a government would stop you unless they're trying to protect somebody else so you can funnel money to them, which is what we're doing. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Do you remember ozone hole and acid rains? They disappeared. I remember acid rains, but not acid rains from volcanic ash. I remember that. I remember there's an ozone hole in the layer, I think is what they called it. I remember all that. Climate is changing, but we are too small to impact the whole planet perspective. No, we're not, because humans are impacting the planet. We're the ones that changed it over thousands, well, not thousands, less than 200 years, because cars didn't exist 200 years ago. It was horse and buggy. In the late 1800s, cars running on gas, but cars ran on electricity. You plugged it in. Do you think Standard Oil might have had something to do with this? One of the rich and powerful men at the time to block electric vehicles? The answer is yes. They're not looking out for you. They're always looking out for the oligarchs. So we go through over 100 years before all of a sudden, yeah, let's do EVs while we're paying gas, watching oil spills, contaminating the flora, contaminating the oceans, contaminating lakes, streams, underground waterways, contaminating land. Come on. Less than 200 years. Knowing the emissions from vehicles go into the atmosphere locks us in a little bubble, knowing you're heating up the planet because you can add in how much the water temperature has risen, which is now causing more hurricanes, more powerful, more forceful in Hurricane Alley. This is not rocket science. There's a cause and effect. So this is why 25 years ago, 30 years ago, people started sounding the alarm because we did it in 230 years. So now it's going to take 130 years to reverse it at least. Sooner you get to this clean energy, the faster we can get to some sort of stoppage of the damage that's already been done by humanity. Airplanes, trains, factories, pollutants. Hey, anybody know why the Pittsburgh Steelers are called the Steelers? Anybody know that it used to rain in Pittsburgh all the time? You know what it was? It wasn't rain. It was ash, toxic chemicals. You guys got to read your history books. Toxic chemicals. You guys know about the rivers on fire? How do you think rivers can be on fire? Toxic chemicals. Do you go to a third world country and they're pouring toxic chemicals in their water supply, in their rivers and streams, pollutions. They can't drink the water. That's how America used to be. So if you have somebody that's at the head of your organization and says, we don't care about clean energy, we let the peasants have toxic chemicals because we want our oil guys and our gas guys and our manufacturing facilities to be able to pollute. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Americans' lives matters, and you guys are sitting there giving a government keys to your coffin order. That's all you're doing right now. That's how it works. Yeah, but they're freaking out about CO2 levels. Volcanoes produce much more than humans. It does not matter. You do understand, without pollutants from humans, there was no problem with what we have to deal with now because people do not understand. There's toxic chemicals that aren't leaving, that's in the air. So people get sick with cancer, tumors, asthma, other factors that happen because you don't have clean air, clean hardly anything. So that's the fallout. Everything matters. So when the indigenous people are sitting there saying, we love the land, we love the earth, you live off the land, that gives us, they were on to something. The earth changes anyhow because tectonic plates move. But here, we're giving off chemicals into the air. It's not being released anywhere. So therefore, where does it go? People can get cancer without actually having to do with something that you consume by food. It's simply by existing and breathing the air. And other things you can get sick from breathing the air. This has an effect. So you just want to keep adding bad chemicals in the air is the no solution because you're killing humanity around the planet. It's not safe anywhere. So the sooner we can get on with that approach, the sooner we can stop worrying about dying because of you exist. But oh, don't worry. The 8 billion plus people on the planet, the oligarchs, they've already done the calculations. They know they need to reduce the population. So, congratulations. That's their game plan. All right. Chemicals, different story. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of different stories. When you have those remember Roundup? There's lawsuits still to this day. That was chemicals in your food, in the ground, seeps in. You're eating stuff from a farmer that used chemicals. This is why you had to go organic. Organic came out because people are using chemicals and inserting steroids and other liquids into all of our food supply. We're consuming it. These things that they're putting into the food supply is not good for people. So we're doing it again a different way. All to say, let's not share the food. We got to sell it. In some states that you can't give food you're going to throw away from a restaurant to the homeless. That's against the law in some states. That's insane. Crazy life, crazy place we live in. Wind turbines and solar panels are not recyclable yet. Um, you hit the key phrase, yet. But yet is the key word. And by the way, you know what? You're not going to like this. I like it though. Do you know there's scientists? That's right, scientists in Japan. Can you believe these guys have a little panel like this that supposedly, allegedly, I haven't seen any proof yet. Allegedly, a little panel like this can do a fourth to a half of your home on a sheet It's crazy what's going on around the world. And here we have a administration that's getting rid of science, scientists, and visas for people who are getting their doctorates and science degrees and things like this. I'm like, is this for real? And people outside of America, the next revolution is renewable resources, people. Artificial intelligence, renewable resources. The industrial revolution, that's the next one. Why are we going to be behind? That makes no sense. If we would have moved forward with solar panels 50 years ago, instead of letting other people do it, if we would have moved forward and allowed competition against Tesla and letting Tesla be the winner instead of helping every company, we wouldn't be behind the eight ball with China running over the EV market. We wouldn't be with Japan or with China or with anybody else getting these little slips of paper that has more power than a whole 10 solar panels because they want to protect the solar industry and don't want to do renewable sources, every GOP administration. So it's a give and take. So we get behind. And Americans should be pissed at this, that you have a government purposely trying to hurt you and keeping us behind technology curve, which means we're behind the rest of the world because they share. Just like right now. In fact, EV Place, you know good and well, you bought some furniture from Opine, and they got that furniture specially made from China for you. That same thing in America, if it was allowed in America, American citizens would be buying this stuff up, but they can't because they're not going to allow it in, because there's no way somebody's going to be able to get a 1-bedroom apartment and then go spend $5,000 and have it fully furnished in America. Why would they help American citizens? They're not trying. They're trying to make sure that you are under the thumb of the government, and they're trying to make sure you spend your money here. And they don't want you to be able to have a choice, because quickly you wouldn't be buying from the American distributors and you wouldn't be buying from American furniture companies unless you want to go to another level. You know, Ethan Allen, that type of thing is on another level. That's how we used to build furniture a long time ago, except now it costs an arm and a leg to have what was normal. You know, we have a dining room table that came from Europe on the Queen Mary. Still no problems to this day. Has not been refurbished, redone, nothing. Is that crazy or what? Think about it. All right. Anyhow, energy from natural gas and burn coal is green if they're using chimney filters. Forget the coal thing, man. Forget the coal. Let's go natural gas. Let's go. First of all, do you understand? Okay, there's several factors. I have to get into this tonight. Several factors. First of all, you know when they had the coal, you know the 2 foot, 3 foot high tunnels did coal. Do you know in the late 1800s that coal kids were doing, pulling out coal? You know what happens when they have to go down? They have the lung problem, right? You're tearing up the land as well, making it toxic, right? So fine, you do that for 100 years, 120 years, still going to this day. But now you're going to say what you said was, well, you know, some of these things aren't recyclable. And the key phrase was yet, because now there's also some things that can melt plastics. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, scientists outside of America, around the world, they can melt plastic. So that plastic that's in the ocean, killing ocean life, which is also a problem. Those recycled bottles, we can get rid of them. But America, there's other countries doing this. Could you imagine the 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 corporations that'll be able to do recyclables and melt it? I mean, this is incredible. All these things are happening. It's already been done. But in America, they're like, oh, no, we're not going to talk about any of this because that means you have to get rid of some of our industries, the big boys. Now, all of a sudden, recyclable is different. So when you say not recyclable yet, that's exactly the key word you need to use. I will go with not recyclable yet instead of doing the coal thing. That's bad for your environments all the way around. People, the actual place where you're going underneath and destroying the land, toxic, and in the air, all of it. And chimney filters, I don't know what that means. No filters 100%. We're eating food at mass destruction. I agree. You got that right, man. That's why you have to watch out. Last time Japan wanted to come out with some new energy source, they've got Fukushima. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That was Mother Nature, but this time Mother Nature is working for them with their panels. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? Uh, Scientists. Let me just Google it. I'll call it a sheet because that's what it really is. It's a sheet. It's just like you're doing your car tent on your car. It was a tent, and it could do allegedly some crazy power. Japanese scientist, solar sheet technology, perovskite solar cells. This is it. 1,000 more efficient than silicone. And it's a sheet, not a panel. So you guys can imagine 1,000 more efficient. So let me ask you something. If you need 20 panels on your house, and that is what it takes, now you understand 1,000 more is one sheet, is a lot of power. And that means a small space. You might need only 3 foot by 3 foot wide. And if you can find something to harness whatever the power is left over, it's there. Japan has unveiled the first titanium solar panel 2 days ago, is when that came out. But actually, I knew about it months ago. So I don't know why they're talking about it 2 days ago. An invention from Japan turns windows into solar panels. This is November 2024. Sustainable, recyclable, biodegradable. Is that what you're talking about? Is that what we're talking about? And it's over in Japan. So, United States scientists, because they've been effed around with over the last 8 years, are a little behind. Or shall I say, yeah, 8 years. We're a little behind. And now Japan and the Asian market potentially could lead this type of breakthrough. But anyhow, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. So when you start talking about this, there's a will, there's a way. It's going down. Now they don't have to mine coal, they can make it into natural gas underground. Well, if they can do that, that's much, much better. That's much, much better. I would agree if you can do that. But I still don't like messing around with none of that. This Windows solar sheet was discovered in Poland a few years ago. It's based on graphene, still under development. Well, the one in Japan's no longer under development. It's happening. And they're calling it perovskite solar cells, and it's a sheet. I don't know what Poland's one is. Hold on. Let's see. Poland scientists. Let's see. Poland. Well, then where are they? because we're talking about 6 months ago. Let's see. This guy has printable solar cells. Inventor Ola Malenkowitz, July 10th, from Poland. Printable solar cells are transforming. Okay, Polish inventor. Yes, printable perovskite solar cells secure. July 2024. So he's printing these things, which is interesting. Printable, thin, flexible perovskite offering a more, you know what? Now, Japan jumps on. Well, Japan also did something in 2024. Whether they coordinate, whether they work together, whatever happens, it's a sheet, is what Japan has. And they are the team winners. European Inventor Award, July 9th. So there you have it with that. So it's on the market, on the radar. Where's the Americans? And he's under 35. But he's printing them. So he's printing them on a material called perovskite. Very cool. So yes, well, I can't tell who came up with it first, but all I know is, where is America? If these guys had it, this is 1 year ago. Well, it is 1 year because it's July that he won the award. So they knew it's available, and they're just sitting here like, yoop de doo, doop de doo, no problem. Okay, I'm looking at his sheet. It looks like it's not a sheet, it's a solar like panel. That's what it looks like. Oh, and it's Olga. It's a female. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I haven't. Oh, no, you can't hear it. It's a female that's doing this printing on a sheet. So they have a sheet. Yep, it is a sheet. It's like she's doing cells on a sheet, but it is a sheet too. It's a little different than the Japanese one, but it's still like a sheet. It's a little. Oh no, it's not. It's almost like RAM. It's on a. It's I see what she's doing. Hers is it's like RAM. It's like a little I see what it is. I see what it is. They will not let someone from Europe develop it. You believe that, right? Yeah, she's using like a chip. So what she did was she has a chip, and then she's putting a sheet on it. So it's actually like a sheet. It's a sheet with chips on it. That's hers. The guys in Japan are using window tint. That's theirs. Hers is still a sheet, but it's not as thin as the Japanese one. So anyhow, they already gave them the playbook. Apparently, if they're at the award ceremony in July, winning their award, that means somebody's been doing production over years on this. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, just like the nuclear weapon. When they got the scientists from the Nazis, Russia got half, let's say, America got half. And that's why both of them knew technology to build the destructive nuclear weapon. So that's why they were one of the first two to develop. So the similar situation could have happened here. It could be scientists aren't like everybody else. Scientists will call up another scientist because they went to school with them. They're not thinking, oh, they're from this country, I'm from that country. So the fact that it's pretty close means people were working on them going in two different directions, it appears. Japan went with, I just want a sheet of tent paper and make that power up something. And Olga is going, I need my chips. And it's going to be on a piece of paper too. Hers is thin because, chips are thin now. Hers is on a paper. So, and shout out to Olga. No oppression of women in Poland, because apparently she's doing the damn thing. She has a patent and everything. Oh yeah, they're not going to let that out in the EU zone or United States. Can you believe this? So anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're dealing with out here. American, your government's against you is crazy. All right, it's a tent foil so you can stick it to the window's glass. Exactly. It's sick. Either one of them I'm down with. Just bring on the price. Bring on the situation. Bring on the storage. Can you imagine if they came up with the storage that can store, let's just say, a few hours, and it can store up like 2 days worth of power in case there's a disaster in your area? That would be so sick. And it's coming, ladies and gentlemen, because as soon as you have the power, then you can come up with the storage. And if they come up with some crazy storage numbers or how they can store it, I don't know, but it's going to be sick. That'd be so sick. I'm excited about it. They have to sell enough of old tech solars before they will release new. You know what? That's true. That's true. And nobody's going to be a renegade, right? And that's where the problem comes in. The governments that have the solar, because you're disrupting a whole industry. Everybody that has solar panels, can you imagine? All of a sudden it's worth nothing. And can you imagine somebody going, here's a sheet. This can power your house up all day if they have a battery supply or some way to store it. This can power up your house for 3 days. And here's a sheet that's 4 feet by 4 feet. Every solar manufacturer is out of business because people can do anything then. It's like, hey, I'll just put it in my house behind my window. They don't have to even do anything. It's not like you have to go out and do anything crazy. I'll tack this up on the side of my wall, outside of my wall in the back. In fact, I'll put something in the backyard on top of my eave or overhang. Put something on top of my carport. Go. I mean, this is crazy right now. Beautiful thing, beautiful thing. New battery technology in Tesla Gigafactory in Nevada. Well, he better come with something. He's going to have to come with something because the guys over in China is kicking everybody's ass right now. They're selling 90% of EVs or something like that. I got the latest report. This is crazy. This is insane. And they do have some sort of battery technology because remember the which company is it that came out with the 5-minute recharge of your battery? I can't remember which one did. So yeah, they better come up with something because either it's going to be solid state or something else. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys know about this, let us know. They better. Yeah, I heard there's some new technology from Tesla Gigafactory, but I don't like. I Elon and Tesla has a history of overstating situations, and then it's 3 years, 5 years, 6 years later. So I'm very careful with whenever they say they're done something or doing something because they always do this. But we'll see. Um, they're going to have to, otherwise you're going to be left behind. You guys do realize if I can have solar tent and it can power 1,000 more, you do understand this leads into the ultimate. Your car never needs charging unless it's dark for days, because now your tent wrap is going to be solar, giving out 1,000 times more power. So as long as you can store it somewhere, you could be rolling around with ever charging at your house. This is where this goes, ladies and gentlemen. So that wrap that people are putting on for $3,000 or $4,000, it could be solar. That's 1,000 times more powerful than any solar right now. That's what both are saying. And it's skinny enough. Even Olga's is skinny enough for as the Japanese is a thin tent too. They're both along the same lines, except hers you can actually see the cells, the chips or something, whatever they're using. There's no chips in their little photos they show, but maybe there is. But either way, it's thin enough that you can actually add on to vehicles. And if it's 1,000 more powerful than a solar panel, we got to go. Now you're sitting there driving your car around and it's charging at a high rate of efficiency, almost absorbing 100% of the power hitting it. That's sick. This is what should have happened like 20 years ago. Except we keep getting administrations that intervene and say, no, we don't care about none of this. It's a pipe dream. Solar panels been out for a long time. You guys remember when they had satellite dishes and they were freaking 12 feet across, 13 feet across, and people were like, nah, them little 18-inch dishes won't work. When in fact, all you ever needed to do was make sure you could point at the satellite. I mean, it's crazy. Crazy. So, yes, this technology, the United States should have been on the forefront of this if they would have taken this seriously like 30 years ago. And then you would have been ahead of on the next industrial revolution. Now, Japan and Poland is. And I don't know how how Olga and her invention is going to get out because Poland's always like, they got to sell out to somebody in order to make it happen. It's crazy. I hope she doesn't do that though. I hope they're I don't know Poland that well. Hopefully Poland allows you to have free trade as an individual because it'd be awfully sick if she could sell around the world. But then, like EV Place said, the governments would ban it. They would say, oh no, no, you can't import that into the United States. You can't import that into the EU. Is Poland in the EU? I don't even know. I'm not going to Poland, so I don't know. We'll see. Let me go do this real quick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, is Poland in the EU? I think they are. I know they're in NATO because they're on the other side of Ukraine. That's why it matters what happens in Ukraine. Um, yeah, they are. They are in the EU. Okay, so the EU, ooh, that's dicey. The EU would enjoy this. So that means it could come to America, but it ain't going to come to America at the cheap price they're going to be selling it for in Poland. That's for sure. Because the energy companies are out of business. Can you imagine? This would be like a sea change. Can you imagine calling up your energy company and going, I don't need you no more. Ever. That would be wild. Oh, that would be so lovely. My God. I mean, that would be so lovely. It'd be so sweet. Um, Humanity could be saved. Can you imagine at this point what this could do? I'm already thinking ahead. Let me tell you guys. Yes, Poland's EU since 2004. Yep. Um, I'm already thinking that. Do you guys understand? This could save the homeless, less fortunate people around the world. Can you imagine that somebody could have a strip? And now those places where there's no electricity in the middle of rural areas, even in America and other countries, can you imagine somebody gets a strip? Think about those people in the DR that lives in the mountains and in the pastures and live in the acres and their house doesn't have the electrical power and get the outage and all that. Can you imagine that they have a 4x4 sheet and they got power for days? What that would do, and imagine if it was affordable, such as a sheet, and they say, oh, that's $15. Can you imagine? That's $50. Everybody could afford it. Could you imagine? That would be so sick. The countries that are third world countries are no longer third world countries, right? Because now the infrastructure changes. You don't have to run electrical lines. You don't have to run power poles or dig underneath grounds. You have to do none of that. That would change the world. So who's going to stop it? Oil, gas, electric energy companies. They're going to be trying to stop this. Man, where can I get some of these? Uh, Eric, it will not happen, Eric, in 10 years at least. Yep. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. Like I just said, oil, gas, countries, governments, they're going to block it as long as they can because they know number one, energy is how you siphon money. That's how you keep wealthy, right? Because the energy companies, they can pay politicians, they can pay government officials, they can do bribery, they can do a bunch of things, and they get subsidies in return. So, can you imagine all of a sudden your energy is no good anymore? We don't need you. We don't need your oil. We don't need the gas. We don't need the electrical from you. You don't have to charge people to lay ground wire and poles and dig underground holes and do any of that. Everybody's a standalone. That'd be sick. I hope I'm around to see it. I hope I'm around to see it. Third world countries have to exist so first world countries can exist. EV place, that's a sore subject, man. You're right. You're right. You're right. All of the EU, United States, even some South American countries have benefited from all of the devastation in one country, Africa. And they still have their neck on Africans' countries by saying you have to use our money if you want to transact and we for our gold, which the EU, it's not theirs. They're because of the wars, because of situations, they made it where we're going to take up this stuff that's coming out of the ground. Thank you very much. You can keep a little kibbles and bits, and you're going to have to use our French dollars. Can you believe that? Can you believe that going on to this day? Unbelievable. America, this is how it's going. American lives matter. And if American lives matter, that means the almighty dollar matters more because you are a subsidiary of the United States. By having a social security number, an ITIN number, an EIN number, you work for the United States government so you can pay taxes. Well, not all of you. You have a business, you work for yourself, you can have tax write offs. Not all of you, but you're going to have to make more money. They've just opened Pandora's box for the end game. A lot of you may not agree with me, but 5 years ago, a lot of people didn't believe what I was saying then, and now it's happening, and they had a 5 year head start. You guys have a head start of 1 year, 5 months to get everything in order that you're going to need to survive because this next tsunami of wealth that's going to grow, the wealth gap is going to be wider than it is now. The top 10% is probably going to own 80% of the wealth in this country because they have their hands into the Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of that that's coming out as well right now. That's the next evolution of the financial systems. So they got their hands in there. After telling people it was worthless, it was no good, who would want to buy this stuff, yada, yada. Well, it was so they could buy it on the down low. That's all they were doing because they had no force in it. They couldn't do anything. So then they had to figure out how to monetize it by making ETFs. So then the common citizen will give them money and then they watch it rise and they're going to give them more money as it keeps rising. Self-fulfilling prophecy. But these guys have already collected millions and millions and millions of the coins or tokens at a lower price. Very simple. Buy low, sell high. All right. I'm going to wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a nice night. July 4th weekend is here. Independence Day for some, not for all. Be very careful out here because the bottom line is government is not coming to save you. You're going to need more money. So make sure you get the extra streams. I'm going to keep saying this. Make sure if you need help, go to findhelp.org. If you want more help, go to Lesko Help, Lesko help.com. That's Matthew Lesko's group of thousands who actually help you with grants. You could say, I'm in the city of, is there any grants for X, Y, and Z? In the next hour or two, if you're in their little club, they will have somebody that says, hey, this is where you can go. Because sometimes it's not on findhelp.org. But these guys have been helping people and doing this for years. He's been doing it for over 45 years. And if I'm not mistaken, it's now 50 years. Can you believe that this man has dedicated 50 years of his life trying to help people? What an awesome individual. Too bad we don't have 350 million people like that in America. Just saying. All right, let's go. Keep your eyes open. It can get ugly here. America, Alligator, Alcatraz State. Good talk, Eric. Stay cool. EV Place, thank you so much, man. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, EV Place is leaving, but you don't leave just yet. You know why? Hold on a second. It's eBay. We have a man, EV Place. That's why he's called EV. Because if you are into speakers for your vehicle, that's the man you need to talk to. Why? Because if you don't know anything about powering up your systems in your vehicle with your low, with your mid, with your highs, with your bass, do you understand it needs to be clean as possible? So if you can get more power to it and it sounds crispy through the whole band, you need to talk to this man. Why? Because he uses a system that I'm about to post up here in the comments section. There it is. Go to eBay, check it out, and then you can hit him up and ask questions. Because with your battery off, I believe the unit he's selling here does 1 hour's 1 hour worth of power with your vehicle turned off, and it can recharge it as you're driving in your vehicle. So now, of course, the question starts. I'm having a picnic and I need 2 hours. 2 systems, 2 hours. Simple. And someone would think that in the audio business, you're thinking thousands. How about only a few hundred? And now you got power without having to run your car, run an inverter, do any of that crazy stuff. See the man himself. There it is in the chat room. I put it in there. It's on eBay. That's what he's selling. You can hit him up as the buyer or, ask seller a question if you want to know more. All right. So there you go. Thanks, Eric. Always a pleasure to be in SSN Family EV Place. Have a good evening. Thank you so much, man, for being here. And I enjoy our conversations all the time. This is what I love. This is what we try to do, ladies and gentlemen. Once your mind gets critical thinking going, all of a sudden you can possibly come up with great ideas. You just never know what's going to happen. So don't miss Monday night at 8:50 p.m. And we'll see EV Place on the other side of this. But don't forget, Monday night, because it's salsa night. That's what I'm going to start calling every Monday is salsa night. It's money making Monday with a little bit of salsa. So I think I'm going to get some salsa and chips. That's what I think I'm going to start eating. Salsa, chips, and unfortunately, I don't like cerveza. Okay, I don't like that. So I got to figure out what I'm going to have with chips and salsa on Monday night, because now it's salsa night. Because, ladies and gentlemen, once again, YieldMax ETF, go look at them. You might want to consider buying them because they're dividend stocks. They do option income trading. Option income trading, my mouth is dry. Option income trading, because there's premiums and they're trading the upside. So when we were talking about Palantir earlier, that's PLTY with YieldMax ETF. The stock prices or the stock symbol is PLTR. So what ends up happening is on the stock market, the PLTR actual company stock, people sell options and they have puts, which means you're betting on the downside, and then others are betting on the upside. So it's fees. So if I do an option, there's fees, right? When I sell, fees, buy, fees. So those fees, the profits made from the fees for YieldMax ETF PLTY is dispersed to all PLTY stockholders. So we love the dividends. They come out every month for PLTY. So they have that for, man, they even have it for Robinhood that we were talking about, HOOD. They have HOOY. So, but Robinhood, that HOOY stock price is kind of high, in my opinion, at this point. But to each his own. You go study these things. You're going to have to study. You're going to have to, the American lives matter. You're going to have to make your life matter because your government is not trying to help you. They're trying to turn everybody into an entrepreneur, help yourself some way, somehow. Because when you turn off insurance coverages for medical, when you turn off Section 8 for those that don't make enough money to live in an apartment and they need Section 8 help, and you turn that off, where are all these people going to go? Sick, less fortunate, don't make money. I'm not saying they're your burden, but they become a burden on society because what are you going to do? Have everybody staying in the street somewhere? These are millions of people we're talking about here. This isn't some sort of like, oh, it's 2,000 people or 200 people. Even that would be a travesty. But we're talking about 15 to 20 million people just in the medical situation. Never mind the Section 8. Never mind the FEMA help that's going to be needed and other government federal agency help that's going to be needed that's not coming. All that goes by the wayside. And if you have a complaint, the Consumer Protection, they've also tried to cancel that too. So if your insurance company doesn't want to pay out, the insurance commission is like, too bad. You lose everything, like if a hurricane comes, like people in Florida have lost. Because the insurance companies to this day from a year ago will not give the people the rebuild money after they've been paying insurance for 20 years. Do you understand what's going on? I hope, ladies and gentlemen. American lives matter. And if you think that you have to lift up everybody, you can't see disservice to any of us, because that just means one day it's going to be you. It's your turn next. And sooner or later, somebody's going to say, well, we don't feel sorry for you that it happened to you because you didn't stand up for us or me. That's how this works. Just like it works on the other side. As long as you're winning, as long as you're the one in control and can keep everything, and you and your buddies are good, you don't care about anybody else, and then you block other people from being with you good. That is a problem. That's what we have going on right now. And I'm just going to say it like I have to say it. Remember the Latin people that were saying the Venezuelans had a song by a band that they loved? I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. Remember them guys? One of those guys are in detention right now. And by the way, they got to go anyhow because they said, Venezuelans, I'm revoking your asylum. I'm revoking. So you thought everything was going to be good because you were voting for a potential person that's going to be the president. If he wins, you thought, oh, we're with him. Well, you found out real quickly, along with the Cubans, who also have to be deported because they revoked their asylum and their visas and everything. Those two groups, 70% voted in Miami for Donald Trump. Now that they're screaming and hollering, oh, I don't want to go back. But see, you thought you were going to be on the winning team and you were going to be exempt. That's not how it works. You should have been fighting for every minority, every person that's coming over here instead of listening to, they're all criminals. I told my friends, the immigrants, when they told me that nonsense, I go, who do you think he's talking about? And they said, oh, he's talking about MS-13. I said, so where's MS-13 at? Well, they come over here. There's an MS-13 in Venezuela and all that. I said, where are they? I said, you're MS-13. They go, no, 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 I'm a hard worker. My kids go to school. I have a job. I stay here for 20 years. I never done any trouble. I'm like, you're the you're MS-13. No. Okay. Guess who's MS-13 in detention centers right now? Those hardworking people that never been in trouble. Not all. Some have never been in trouble, but I got to ask you, if I got a traffic ticket, is that trouble? I mean, seriously. But anyhow, uh, there's a report of less than 5% are actual people that they have detained and put in these detention centers have actually had a criminal record. Some said it's 20%, but that's still not enough to just grab everybody, kidnap people. That's still not good enough to kidnap people. I thought they were going to do some sort of resemblance of trying to go get real criminals that at their secret hideout, because apparently I was thinking they knew where MS-13 was. I didn't think they were just making shit up. I thought they actually knew where and who MS-13 was so they can go get them. See, that's what I thought the Cubans and Venezuelans were thinking too, while they were visibly backing a guy who has racist tendencies. Make it make sense. All right, that's enough. I'm a black guy in America. You have to call it like it is. You have to recognize people for who they are. You don't give them 50 chances. When you hear stories, if somebody heard a story about me and the story goes, yeah, man, you know, Eric owns this casino in Atlantic City. And, when I came to the casino, he told all the white people to get off the floor whenever he comes to town. And also, this gambler, one of the high rollers, doesn't like minorities. So whenever this guy comes, you guys got to get off the floor and see sight unseen. And then I come to white people and say, I'm for you. Vote for me. And then you hear other white people say, vote for him, man. Eric's the man. You see, that's a problem. That's the problem. Oh, and we have 10 other stories of Eric doing that same thing. But vote for him, man. He's going to be good for us, white people. You would think that them white people have lost their freaking minds. Right. And then when I get in office, I say, oh, you're not citizens. I'm going to make sure we got to denaturalize you if you are. We got to make sure if change the laws. If if both of your parents aren't Americans, then you're going to be deported. But wait, that applies to my children. No, hold on. If one of your parents aren't American, then you and your kids can be deported. If I did some shit like that, people would be like, are you serious? Here we have it going on right now. So who's going to stick up for the minorities in America? But there's going to be pressure. Your family, your friends, who's going to stick up for minorities? I'm sticking up for my brother in the Latinos who's getting sight unseen, just like me when I'm driving my car, sight unseen. Hey, and they roll up on me, roll down the window. What's up? I smell weed. Do you? I don't. I don't smoke weed. Nobody around me smokes weed. And if they did, that's automatic cancellation because I can't be around that because, I know how police are. So I don't want to smell like it, look like it, anything of it, because I know next I'll be out in the car trying to do something. Nope. Well, can you just give me a ticket for whatever I supposedly did wrong? Have any warrants? Here's my license. Here's my insurance. I'm pretty sure you're going to run and see if I have warrants. Does it matter if I don't or if I did? What's my traffic ticket? What'd you pull me over for? That's my America. All right, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. So when July 4th comes around and everybody's doing this rockets red glare and things like that, it's a very difficult situation for me because I realize what America has been and still is. Independence Day is meant for not me, just like the Pledge of Allegiance is meant for not me. Get to the third stanza, and that's why they never say it. So once you realize this fake stuff and what it's meant for, then you kind of look at things a little differently. Once you know history, once you understand what things are made of. I know where I live. Somebody else better figure out where they live because Americans, you are all immigrants. And only a certain power structure, the same immigrants who came over here are the same immigrants that want to wipe everybody else across the face with something to make sure they stay in some sort of line. So they can grow, but everybody else can't grow equally. That's America. So this Independence Day, are you really free? I'm free to talk at the moment, but not really, because my rhetoric, YouTube is deemed bad. So therefore, this won't get out to too many people. Don't worry about it. 100, 150 max. There'll never be 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, anything like that. So don't worry about it. But I'm still going to speak my piece because we have people here that need to know. You need to get your ass in gear to get in the financial situation, making sure it's better, and it might have to be some pain. But down below in the description box, I have things. You need your credit reduced, reorganized without filing bankruptcy, and getting it done in less than 2 years or less, and get your score to 775, because on the other side, there's going to be a lot of things happening. Interest rates will be low. Deals such as 0% interest rate for 24 months will be on the table, or maybe even longer. Business credit that you might have to back with your credit score to get yourself a nice chunky loan with the interest rate of under 4%. That would be beautiful, right? Write your own tickets, not having to rely on any government resources. Because if you don't, over this next run, everything's going to cost more with less resources for Americans and no way to come back because we'll be 41 trillion in debt. And from that point on, inflation and a whole bunch of things are coming to come into play. So you're going to have to lock yourself into a nice little, if you're going to buy a liability, a house, you're going to have to make sure your interest rate is low as possible. There's people right now who have an interest rate of 2.5%. You think they're selling their house? They shouldn't, unless there's a financial difficulty of some sort, which could happen. But there's a lot of homes for sale right now because people have loans of 5%, 6%. Jobs are being lost. So keep that in mind. Again, I'll start this off. Microsoft, again, 9,000 people are going to be laid off from Microsoft. This year, They've already started 830 in Washington at the main campus. 830 high paid individuals gone. Do you see what's happening? A contraction. Our GDP growth is going to potentially be under 1%. Our money that we owe, $1 trillion a year in interest only for our $37 trillion of debt. The $4 trillion we're getting ready to add is going to cost us $700 billion. This is taxpayer money, by the way. So we're going to owe 1.7 billion in a few years in interest only, Americans. Now you understand why they're cutting any social services safety nets. They're taking money out of that to pay for the wealthy right now. That is a problem because the wealthy is not giving us anything back. They're not building manufacturing facilities. They're not giving us higher livable wages. They're not doing anything. They're going to be buying back their shares of stock, though, so the stock price can go up so they can go get another yacht, maybe. But they're not going to help you. There's only a few billionaires that actually help people. A few millionaires that actually help people. Don't let the nonprofit billionaire thing fool you, okay? That's a money-making scheme most of the time. The thing is, there's rarely guys like the man that bought acres at the Amazon that's a billionaire. I don't know how many acres it was, but because this idiot was burning down the Amazon forest, it's the engine of the world, ladies and gentlemen. Do you understand? We have a guy, Baldana or whatever his name was. Yeah, burn down the Amazon. Go look, science matters. It's the engine of the planet. And this clown says, burn it down. Luckily, another billionaire was able to buy some acres and say, I'm never selling it, burning it, doing anything. But the damage has already been done. Burning the rainforest, the Amazon rainforest, which is the engine of the frickin' planet. This is what we're saying. You got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, we have some wacky stuff happening. What's happening there affects everybody on the planet. They don't care. That president of that country does not care. This is the same thing happening now. As long as we're good, I don't care about 8 billion people as long as my few 100 million people are good. 60 some million millionaires in the United States. On the planet, there's 3,000 billionaires now. That's 3,066 million is millionaires and billionaires. That's it. Out of 8+ billion people on the planet. They control 70% of the wealth. Okay, that's it on this Independence Day for me, because you're going to have to be independent. You're going to have to make sure that you are the CEO of your life and your family's life at this point, and sprint and work hard over the next few years if you have not already, and put together a nice little nest egg on the backs of investing, because it's going to rise like a rocket ship and you got to be able to benefit from it. All right. So hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the weekend. Be safe out here, no matter who you are, because you never know what's going to happen in this crazy little mixed up America right now. But you know one thing. I love you guys very much. I appreciate your support over this last 6 years, regardless of what's happened on the YouTube channel, regardless of what happened of any channel that I have that has been tainted by bad rhetoric, as they call it. I thank you for your support. And I appreciate you guys listening to me every now and then when I start going off. But thank you so much. And just be safe out here because it's hard out here. You never know what's going to happen. But make sure, whatever you do, be safe, keep a level head, and make sure, above all, keep your head up, keep moving. And I'm out.